wants to ask, we'll try and get to those as well. But we will start off here. And I don't really agree with the premise here, but we'll use it as a vessel to talk about Tet McMillian. Why hasn't anyone in Boston sports media talked about Tet McMillian? He seemingly fills a major need for the Patriots and is consensus top 5. What are your thoughts on Tet? Should they be thinking about him at the 4th pick?
I think 4 is tough, man. If they really can't trade out, maybe consider it depending on how the offseason goes. But really, I feel comfortable with Tet if they get Josh Sweat, if they get Milton Williams, if they get a tackle and a left guard that they're comfortable with. Like if you can go into the draft not needing desperately trench additions, I'm fine with Tet because I don't think that T. Higgins is going to be on the board. And I think Tet is the best receiver in this class, and there's pretty significant drop-off. I think the reason Tet isn't mentioned enough is because, one, I think people are kind of wising up to how important the trenches are after the Super Bowl and really realize this is where their attention needs to be focused. There's also the Travis Hunter element where if you want a receiver, you probably like Travis Hunter more because he gives you more big playability. He has the versatility to play both sides of the ball, yada, 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 and all those things. And then you look at like Mason Graham, Will Campbell. It's just if you want trench guys, you can make a very good case for either one of them at this pick. And wide receiver is still a huge need, but I'm trench first. So I understand the mentality of maybe wanting to get a receiver later in the draft. But I will say, I think Tet is very misunderstood. I think because he's not Brian Thomas Jr. or Marvin Harrison Jr. or Roma Dunze, people think that he's really just like a N'Keal Harry type or something like that because he's big. This guy moves with crazy fluidity for a guy who's his size. Like he moves like T. Higgins, but he's bigger than T. Higgins. And T. Higgins already looks crazy. His ability to shift and drop his weight on a dime, change directions really quickly without really needing to take a ton of steps. Their yards after catch ability, where as soon as they get that ball, they're looking upfield, they're fighting through contact, they're trying to make a play. I see a lot of similarities between him and T. Higgins, but where T. Higgins has more vertical ability, one, I think Tet McMillian, like once he gets striding, it's tough to catch up to him. And he's got a much bigger catch radius than T. Higgins, who's already known for having a big catch radius.
Right.
Now, one thing I would really like to see more from Tet McMillian is him using his physicality to win in routes. Like I did a breakdown of him versus Travis Hunter in 2023. And I was really disappointed because Travis Hunter was all over him, but I'm thinking, dude, you need to initiate contact like what tight ends do, like we see with Hunter Henry all the time. Gronk used to do it all the time. He runs at guys because he wants you to try to lock him up, because once you grab onto him, he's allowed to chop you off him. He can't push off, but he can chop off. And a guy that's 6'5", 215 pounds, not a lot of corners are going to be able to do a whole lot against that. So I'd love to see him be more physical because that's what I think he's going to be a load to deal with. I also would like to see him be a little more diverse in his release packages. But again, with his size and physicality and being pretty fleet of foot for a guy who's 6'5", I think he's going to be a legit number 1 receiver in the NFL. And everything that Vrabel mentioned he wanted. He wants a separator. He wants a catch radius. He wants yak ability. Tet gives you all of those things, even if he's not an elite burner or anything like that. So I think that's why people don't talk about him much. They misunderstand him. People want trenches. And if they want a receiver, they're probably going to want Travis Hunter more. I would much rather take Tet McMillian after a trade down. But if the Patriots said he's our guy at 4, and again, the trenches were pretty solidified, I wouldn't be mad at it.
And that's the part where I hate giving the cop-out answer, but it's kind of where we're at in the process right now because it is only February 11th. Like we don't know what they're going to tackle in free agency. So, if they go get T. Higgins or if they go get Darius Slayton or if they go attack the wide receiver position, then no, I wouldn't take him at number 4. But if they don't do anything like that and they do figure out the trenches, or there's Will Campbell meshes in with 55-inch arms and he goes number 2, like something like that, right? Where he just moves up the board and he's still sitting there. Taking it 4, you need a wide receiver. He is a solid player. I like that you mentioned the Mike Vrabel's idea of, a number 1 wide receiver. He fits that mold perfectly. So does AJ Brown. That's not going to happen, but that was it sounded like he was talking exactly about AJ Brown when he mentioned that. But yeah, I would consider him at number 4, depending on what they, what needs they have when that time ultimately comes.